Is part 2 of Ballad of Kino Morone, blah 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 blah. Frank awoke on his couch. Mary had left a long time ago. Mary had left long ago. Her residence was now cold and damp. Frank lit a cigarette and pulled on his pants. Frank adjusted his belt and stood on his balcony. The night misted with small snowflakes. The rails were cold and crusted with ice. Frank exhaled and stared at the moon, half in and half out of its mind. The stars twinkled with potential life in the distance. Frank thought again of Kino. "Why do you do your job?" Kino asked. Covers of silk and red held above her breasts. Blonde hair appreciative of the moon. "Why do you do yours?" Frank sat at the edge and lit a cigarette. "Same reason, I guess." "The same?" "The people. For them. I suppose. But why this way, Kino?" "Why yours? You're dancing on the issue. So are you." Frank lay next to her, stroking her sides. Kino stole a cigarette and toked on the packed herbs on fire. "Why do we do this, Kino? What? Hide who we are. It's easier. Why? Who cares?" Kino kissed Frank and climbed on top. "I will," Frank stated as the sheets slid in slow cascade. Later. Much later. Morning rose and the snow still fell on brighter streets. Frank flipped the eggs and stirred the oatmeal. Frank dumped the eggs on the plate as someone knocked on the door. Frank opened the door, and Mary stepped under his arm and into the apartment. "I've got the police report on the murders. You didn't say there was a Martin Preston involved. You had me look him up a couple months ago." "I remember. You hungry?" "No, I had breakfast with Kyler." "What?" "It was a civility thing. He apologized." "Did he?" Frank sat down and started to eat. "Yeah, and he promised not to do it again." Typical. And that's what I told him right before I told him to fuck off. "Good for you." "How are you this morning, Frank?" "Yeah, should ask you the same." I'm better." "Me too." Frank ate the rest of his breakfast in silence and perused the files. Mary made coffee and watched the cars pass. Frank saw nothing about the business card in the report. Nothing about Alabaster Smith. "He's not in here," Frank spoke. "Who?" This new guy from Chicago. Monahan told me about him after I found a business card with his name on it." "Monahan?" "Alabaster Smith." "Who's he exactly?" "All I know is he's either a he either called the hit on Martin Preston or he did it himself. Martin called him an assassin and a real estate mogul. Look him up, will you?" "Sure thing." Mary stood and finished the coffee. Frank stopped her and pulled her in. She smelled of lavender and vanilla. "You smell great." "And you smell like sweat." Mary snarked and kissed him. "I'll see you at the office." Frank started his car and shifted into drive. He drove down Victory and went right at Marigold. The office was just 20 blocks from his apartment. Frank took a left at 5th and followed it to an anonymous building along the right. The sign above the stairs stated "Detective for Hire." Frank parked and went up the steel staircase. The third door down the hallway etched "Frank Jordan, Detective for Hire." Mary typed on the other side. "Good morning again, Frank." "Good morning again, Mary." "What could you find?" "Not much." She followed him into his official office and slapped the printouts on the desk. "Alabaster Smith, son of Burton Smith and Henrietta Smith, founder of the Crisis Care for Children, owner of several businesses, including the Mystic Diamond Nightclub, New Fish Sandwich Shop, and his newest purchase, as of this morning, the Rivers Nightclub." Interesting. Anything else? Frank lit a cigarette and glanced at the printouts. "Self-made billionaire, so, no way he would have killed." "How could you be so sure?" "He seems too high up to do his own dirty work." "That doesn't appear true." "Where does Kyla work?" "Why does that matter?" "Trust me, it matters." And well, he works at the new fish sandwich shop on Parker and 22nd. Why? It just occurred to me as I was driving here where I'd heard that name Kyler before. What was his last name? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Well, it never came up. We were just, we were only dating for a few weeks. Kino's little sister was killed. Excuse me. Kino's little sister dated a guy named Kyler. I have a letter here somewhere. She wrote it to Kino days before she was found dead in the street. Oh my God, my Kyler? I mean, Kyler? Maybe, but if it is him, you got to be careful. He's suspected of several murders, but there's no record of him actually existing. Like Kyler is a false name? Most likely. It's just one he uses, Stay away from him, just to be sure. I will. Trust me. I do. Where does this Alabaster Smith live? Well, I don't know. It's not listed, but his office is right in the Carter building. That gleaming skyscraper? What floor? 22nd? I guess I'll go check it out. Why can't you leave it to the local cops? Frank glared at her. Sorry. I know. Frank left his desk and went to hers. Frank donned his coat. Mary. Yeah? You mean well. I get it. Do you? Mary's eyes stared at the keyboard. Frank leaned on her chair. Yes, I do. They kissed and Frank returned to his car, adjusting his gun and his soul. The Carter building rose high, piercing the sky with its glass and steel miracle. Frank parked out front and put change into the meter. He scanned the lobby and pushed the button for the elevator. On the 22nd floor, the machine dinged and released the doors. Frank turned left, and footsteps cushioned by plush red carpet, walls bordered in blue and sporadic and pointless paintings. Frank opened the cherry door at the end of the hall. A secretary sat answering the phone. Red dress, brown hair, mid-20s. Cute. She hung up and looked at Frank. Can I help you? She bid. Is this the office of Alabaster Smith? Who are you? Detective Frank Jordan. I have some questions. Just a moment. Have a seat. She hit the intercom. Sir, I have a detective here to see you. A voice answered. Sure thing. Send him in. Yes, sir. He'll see you. Good. What's your name? Greta. I like it. Greta. Rolls off the tongue nicely. Thank you. No. Thank you, Greta. Frank wooed. Upon opening the glass door, a young man exiting bumped into Frank. The man's nameplate fell off. He was wearing a new fish outfit. Frank excused himself and picked up the nameplate. Sorry about that, Kyler. No problem, sir. The young man replied and rushed through the outer door. Alabaster called Frank into the room. Frank obeyed. The office was white, almost sterile. Alabaster wore a black suit with a white tie. As he neared the white marble desk, Frank noticed the business cards on it. Frank picked one up. It was the same. You have an interesting card. It's made of alabaster. Alabaster Smith stood looking out at the high-rise. Just like your name. Must be expensive. Very. Why am I finding these everywhere? I am a businessman. Those are my business cards. No harm there. True. I heard you just bought some lucrative, some large lucrative properties recently. Alabaster faced Frank and sat down in his white leather swivel chair. I am a businessman, as I said. I buy businesses. I don't see your reason for questioning me. You bought the Rivers nightclub this morning. Yes, my representative closed the deal this morning. So sad about all those people. I hope the men who did it are found and prosecuted. So do I. Who did you close the deal with? I believe that my representative closed the deal with Mr. Rivers' widow. Hard sell? No. Huh, guess not. What do you want, Detective Frank Jordan? Detective Frank Jordan. Ah, and what is your business with me, Mr. Jordan? Well, nothing. Just a new face in town I didn't know. Wanted to get acquainted. Well, it was nice to meet you, Mr. Jordan, but if you don't mind, I have an important client due to arrive soon. Oh, I don't mind. Frank shook Alabaster's hand. Pleasure. It's all mine, Detective. Take a card. Thanks, but I got a few at home. Frank left. Alright. Another part. And, yeah.